He was the one who did it to you. He wants you. An incredulous person preaching to me. He said you are chosen from God. You have to go to play for God. And I looked at him and I said, do not be silly. What is this? And he said, I am sure that all this happened because of you. That put me in tailspin. And I was thinking about it. And it was like God had spoken. That's right, you will have to choose. My name is Celso Ironides. Until my 17th going on 18th birthday, I had a simple life, but my life was all about working in a shoe store. And also during the weekend playing in a rock band. Rock pop. And that was my life. I did this. I worked during the week, studied at night. On weekends I played in a garage band. We played in the garage. Every now and then there was a party in town. A school party that we ended up playing there. Being invited to play there with the band. My band was everything that inspired me. When I woke up in the morning, I hoped one day to be a rock star or something. What happened is that my store manager invited me to go to his church. He was a member of a Baptist church in the city and he invited me to go there. And I said, I will go. I was going because he was my manager, right? So he kept inviting me. I kept saying I was going to go, but I wasn't going and it lasted about 9 months. Since February he had been inviting me and it was already October and I hadn't yet gone. So at a certain point, I decided to go anyway. And on the day I decided to go, he said, look, our double bassist broke his hand. No. You could play in his place. And on the day I went to the evangelical church to visit it. I was playing there. I had long hair. My hair reached more or less my shoulders and I was there playing among the believers. I didn't like believers very much. I thought they were very radical people. Ignorant people. They did not having knowledge about things and so. Simple people. I thought so. And then suddenly I saw myself playing double bass in a Baptist church. I was playing there during the time of worship, which inspired me a lot and I started to like it. And then I went again and I told him, still has a broken hand. I will come. And I went and I played the bass. I know I played for almost a month for them. And there I was hearing the word. And there I was hearing the word. While I was sitting during the time of the word, I started paying a little attention. And that started messing with me and I would play suddenly and listen. I had been going to the church for a month and so. There's going to be a special service here next Sunday. Could you play in that service? Because we still don't have the double basses. I said I can. But in the middle of the week another place came up for us to play. At a high school party. And I didn't think twice. I won't play in the church, I'm going to play at the high school. I had all my classmates there. Imagine if I was going to play at the church. And I would miss playing there, at the high school party. And we went to rehearse the songs. We arrived earlier. And then I got there early and we went to rehearse. I had rented an enormous sound box. I remembered we got there and we went to rehearse. And then at the time of the rehearsal I won't even say anything to the believers in the church. I won't even show up there. I don't even want to know. And they were waiting for me. And they were waiting for me for a very important service. But between playing with my band and playing in church, I didn't think twice. I went to play with the band. And then when I was rehearsing, at that moment I was playing bass. The bottom rope is thick. And then the first string broke. I've never seen something like it in my life. We generally change the first rope. At the same time, the drummer, who was playing the drums, the battery had a hole. The battery simply drilled a hole. And the guitar player was playing the guitar. The middle rope usually bursts if it is the thinnest rope. The last string over there sometimes breaks. But a middle rope broke. And I thought, what is this? And suddenly, we looked at the huge box that we had rented. And smoke started coming out of the box. When I saw all that, at that exact moment, I knew that God had spoken to me. You shouldn't have done that to the church, my church. You shouldn't do this. You left them there waiting for you. And you came to play here. So because I did this, a disdain for the church of God. He took it and did that. I was sure it was him, and I was there and I talked to the guys right. Wow, everything went wrong. And one of them who knew I had not gone to the church, also an unbeliever like me, he came to me and said, "You know why this happened?" And I looked and I made a fool of myself saying, "Why? What do you think?" It was God who did this to you because you stopped going there to play and came to play here with us. He was the one who did it to you. An incredulous person preaching to me, he said, "You are chosen to play for God." And I looked at that and said, "Do not be silly. What is this?" And he said, "I am sure that all this happened because of you." That put me in tailspin, and I was thinking about it. I was thinking, and it was like God had spoken. That's right. You will have to choose. Choose the band or the church. It was like I was choosing between hell and my mind. Or God and the church, for sure. It was a choice that I had to do. And then I went crazy. But then I ended up choosing for real and I went to church and said I'm going to become a church member because what God has done there is very powerful. I was scared, and after a while I told this story to the store manager. My manager. When I told him the story, he told me another story from the Bible, the story of Jonah, and told me to read it, and I started reading. And as I was reading the book of Jonah, I started to cry so much with Jonah. And I said, "Lord, I'll give my life for the gospel, to belong to God." And then I became a pastor. I am a pastor of a church today. A lot has happened in my life. I went to prepare better and to study and came back. Missions. I am a pastor of a metropolitan church in São Paulo. And today I am sure that this is God's calling for me. Today I don't even play in the church. I don't even play anymore. My son plays, and this bass here is his. It is for my son. Thereafter, I decided, since my conversion, I was 18 years old. The same age my son is today. I'm sure God had a plan. He had chosen me since that time. I've been fulfilling my career this way. It was a pleasure to have spoken this testimony. I pray to God that it reaches some young people out there and may serve as a blessing and conversion in the lives of some young people and other people. Amen. It was amazing. Because after 2 years of being in church, I was already a youth leader. And one of those who understood the most about the Bible. I deepened myself in the Bible. I read the Bible, and after 2 years, I was already entering the seminary to study to be a pastor. Then everything happened very fast in my life. And it was rare with 2 years of being in church for a person to be already preparing to be a pastor. But the testimony was so great of what happened in my life, that in this way I had no escape. I had to go around, believing that I had no choice. So I ended up leaving aside those dreams of wanting to be a rock star, of having my band in worldwide proportion, in Brazil, be a great rock band. Those ideas I was putting aside, and the desire to be a pastor grew more and more. To be a minister, and I was studying for it. And then suddenly I saw that I knew who I was in the world. I thought, I know who I am. I am a pastor. God is calling me to be a pastor. And then these things came very close. I believe that 2 years after my conversion, I was already studying to be a pastor. And 7 years after I had converted, I was already being ordained to the pastoral ministry, missionary at the University of São Paulo. I became a missionary there, a pastor of university students. Then I realized that God really had something very categorical in my life. It was something very categorical, and I had no escape. At least I didn't think so. And I'm there, on the path trying to be a good pastor. When we are young, we have some questions, existential questions, because we don't really know who we are. Mainly today, it is much more difficult for people to know who they are. In a world as diverse as it is today, it's very difficult for the person to say, I was born for this, but I would say this, that every young person wants to know something about God, what God has prepared for him, whether in profession or in love life, or in religious life, in Christian life. Young people generally don't know who they are yet. What I would say for young people is, plunge yourselves into questioning God, in the sense of asking God, what do you want from me? Question Him, what do you want from me? And in this questioning, it is as if it were, I don't really like to say what I'm going to say now, but it's like a fight with God. Fight with God. Like when Israel quarreled with God. When Jacob quarreled with God, he became Israel. So it's fighting it, is what you want from me. Bless me not in the sense of a blessing of prosperity, but bless me by showing what you want. I'm a servant and I want to know who I am. Where do you want me to serve? Is it in music? Is it in a company? Is it in a specific profession? Give me this profession. Do you want me to serve you as a writer? As a worker in a bakery? As a worker in a metallurgical industry? Where do you want me? As a worker in technology? Where do you want me to serve? I will serve you, Lord, but show me. Show me, God. I think this fight is the only fight we can pick as young people, wanting God to show what He wants from us.